Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex. This is the Ramble. We're here until midnight tonight from New York, New York. The city's so nice they named it twice. Hey, guess who's here? This is Larry Bubbles Brown. He's out in California being Larry Bubbles Brown.
Which is a horrible thing to do.
Yeah, it's a horrible thing to do. It's an absolute downright shame. So how are you, Larry?
Good. We're getting through this. I think we're slowly opening up. Clubs are, I think we're allowed to have 15% next week. So they couldn't make a profit at that, but I guess that's a start.
Yeah, well, we've opened up out here at 125%. The reason being that they caught the governor coming on to another woman. And
what?
That's a big joke in Albany. One more woman and he'll open up all the occupancy to 125%.
Is he going to survive? I haven't heard much out here about it.
Well, I think he will, or he'll survive. He is not. What he's done is smart. Our Governor Cuomo, we're talking about Andrew Cuomo, out here in New York. He was smart in that he didn't cave. You know, where a lot of other people go, okay, I admit I was wrong. Oh, okay, I resign. He's not going anywhere, and they're tiring of the chase. Okay, so the news about this stuff has diminished. I mean, we haven't had another woman come forward and claim that he, looked at her awkwardly in weeks, because he's just stood his ground. He said, I'll wait for the reports to come in, and the investigations that are going on to come in, and everything will be fine. Okay? So wow. He's waiting it out. Now, I don't know if he can run for another term. It would be his 4th term anyway. I mean, which is too much for a governor.
Too much.
Too much for any public official, actually, outside of Congress.
Except FDR.
Except FDR. Well, we found out with FDR that it wasn't a good idea to go that long. It's funny, but when a politician gets into their 3rd and 4th term, they start getting a feeling of ownership. And they change even in the way they operate. I mean, it was like here we had Bloomberg, who was the mayor of New York, and he did 2 terms, and then he changed the rules so he could run for a 3rd term. And in his 3rd term, he was doing goofy things like making sugar sodas, had to be taxed at a larger tax rate and things like that. Stuff that didn't really, it made some kind of sense on some level, but it was like a king making a proclamation,
Yeah, right.
So you don't want these guys to do more than that, So. And out there,
well, he's doing the right. I think you're right. Like if you apologize for anything, you're done. It's over.
Well, don't apologize because the apologies are not being taken.
They're not accepted, and you're finished.
Yeah. I mean, it should be. In the old days, it was well. If you admit you're wrong, God bless you. Go on with your job. All right. Now it's. Oh, you said you were sorry? You must have been wrong. Resign. So, what's the incentive for anybody to admit they were wrong?
Right.
What's the incentive of people, whatever happened to liking and admiring redemption? So it's ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very puritanical. There's no forgiveness anymore.
Yeah. So what the hell? It bothers me a lot that we have all these people going down for stuff. I mean, think about, if you got caught early on in that whole Me Too thing, you're out of work forever, right?
Forever.
If it happened later on, like it did to what's his name, Ryan Seacrest. You hear anything about his problems? But when they came out, hey, he did this and he did that, and all of a sudden it disappeared because he was later on in the whole thing. But you look at a guy like Louis C.K., he's not he's working small clubs out in Long Island, and this is a guy practically owned cable television, had so many shows on.
Yeah, it was huge.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, and I just feel that in the case of Louis C.K., come on, the three women testified or didn't even testify. They were never under oath. Okay, so how do we know that anything they were saying was true? We do, once somebody's under oath, you figure there's a good chance of it because they don't want to be caught in perjury and so on and so forth. But none of these women, I think, were under oath in this whole thing. They just said that Louis C.K. said to them, do you mind if I pull out my penis? And none of them said anything. And so he pulled out his penis. And nobody left the room. Right? But he pulled out his penis, and that was enough to get him banned for life. And for being, by the way, I always say for being a gentleman, because he did ask permission.
He did. It'd be great if you could interview him.
I would like. Actually, I should see if I can find him somewhere.
You do that.
He may not
I'd like to hear what he has to say. But.
Well, obviously, if he hasn't been interviewed yet, considering how many comedians are on the internet and how many have shows and podcasts and so on, and he's never appeared on any of them, it's apparent to me he doesn't want to talk about it. I don't know. I mean, and then you look at a guy like Al Franken. I mean, that was innocent in that what he did was simply a stunt that was consensual. I mean, the woman knew they were taking the funny photo of her pretending like she's asleep, and then he's pretending like he's grabbing her breasts. Yeah. All right? It was for a gag photo. And for that reason, he left and resigned. And in recent interviews, I think somebody like Letterman was interviewing him, and he assailed him for not fighting it. That this was,
really?
That he just gave up easily. And he did. And I think there was something you got to remember, Franken never had his career path as being a politician. His career path was as a comedian and as a comedy writer. And somehow, because he, knew his politics and was good at it, he became senator. All right? So when this thing hit, I think what he said to himself was, fuck it, I don't need this. I really don't need this. And he quit. And I think that was sad too, because I think he was a pretty good senator and a real lefty. And I'm one who's always suspicious of anybody who says they're a real leftist, but this guy really walked the walk. I mean, he was consistent. And I felt really bad about that. And we have this Kirsten Gillibrand, who's the senator here in New York, who called for him to leave. And I
remember he got some pressure from within the party. I remember that.
Yeah, it was Kirsten Gillibrand, basically. And I will never forgive her for that. I will never vote for her. I'd vote for Trump for senator before I'd vote for her. That's how much I hate her. But you have problems out in California with your governor.
We got a recall for Newsom, yes.
Is there definitely, it was a recall vote, right?
Yeah, they got enough. They needed 1.5 million signatures. They got 2 million, so it looks like that'll happen. The latest I've heard is they said they don't think anyone's going to beat him, but he will have to go through this. They said the only person that could beat him would be a high-level celebrity might be able to do it.
High-level celebrity. Well, the only one that's come forward, and I don't know if you call it a high-level celebrity, is Caitlyn Jenner.
Yes, that would be.
What happens, I understand out there on your ballot, it's really crazy. You've got, you have the recall, like, shall we recall him or not recall him? And then if you say you want to recall him, you then have to vote for somebody to be governor, right on the same ballot.
Yeah, and virtually it doesn't take, when they recalled Gray Davis, I think they had like 50 people on the ballot that ran for governor.
They had 30, I remembered it was like 36. And number one, so therefore, whoever was going to win is the person whose name was most recognizable. And the most recognizable name was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
But it wasn't like he won by gazillion votes and everybody wanted him to be governor. It was just he had more votes than any of the other 36. And so that's what Caitlyn Jenner figures could happen. Her name is known. Go do it, right? But I remember that, who came in number 2? Let's see, we had, what's his name? The midget, black midget. What you talking about, Willis?
From Different Strokes.
Yeah. He ran. I think he came in second or something like
Really?
that. Yeah. Number 3 was a porn actress.
I remember there was a porn actress. There was it was quite a gallery of people.
Yeah, but anybody, you could have run for governor.
I could have come in fourth.
Yeah, you could have run for governor. It's just a matter of I think you have to get about 1,000 signatures, something very minor.
Very low, yeah.
Yeah, and you can get on the ballot. So, the ballot in California was crazy. Now, what I don't get is why California is doing a recall when they know how devastating a recall can be, because they had that one and it was a mess. 36 candidates? Are you kidding me? Jeez almighty. And it isn't that the person who gets over 50% wins. It's the person who gets the most votes. So you could get 10% of the vote and become governor. So it's horrible. It's really horrible.
Well, the recall is, I think that goes way back to the changes they made 100 years ago. That was a big part of the progressive movement.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's terrible. It's just terrible. We don't. I don't think we have a recall system here in New York. Otherwise, we would have heard about it already.
You do not, right?
And I think it's got to end in California because what you're really doing is you're giving in to buyer's remorse. And I think that getting a governor after he's become governor is ridiculous, just ridiculous. And it's not healthy. And here's a governor who's always fighting for his job. Every minute, once he gets it, that's just the beginning. You could then be recalled. And in this case, it looks like they're trying to recall every governor who comes along, practically. Did they try a recall on Jerry Brown? Do you remember?
No.
No. I don't think they did. But, before Jerry Brown was Arnold Schwarzenegger. So here it is. Every other governor is now being attempt to recall them. And
I can't even remember why they recalled Gray Davis, but
yeah, I can't either. It was something.
I remember Arnold. He went on Jay Leno and made a big announcement, and the place went crazy.
Yeah. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it's not healthy. And it's my state, and I just have a feeling if I went back, I would hate California. You know,
You probably would, yes.
you know, I would hate
there.
San Francisco. I mean, I look at video of San Francisco and I feel homesick. Okay,
Yeah.
but if I were there, I think I'd probably be unhappy.
You would.
I mean, are you happy with San Francisco as it is right
No,
now?
it's horrible. They ruined Van Ness.
Well, we'll talk more about that, about the ruining of my hometown next time we talk to you. But it looks like we've run out of time, Larry.
But you gave me a thought. Maybe I'll run for. Maybe I could get on the governor list this time.
Larry Bubbles Brown for governor, folks. Thanks, Larry.
Hey, I got name recognition. Jerry Brown, Larry Brown.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And there's Larry Brown, and let me turn on my lights. There we go. I always forget to do that until I look at myself and I go, "Gee, I'm in the dark." Thing. Anyway, I love this hat. I wear this hat more than any other. This is my Red Army hat from China. It's you know something. It's over 10 years old now, and look at it. It's still in great shape. Look. Just there's a little worn there. Let me see here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, all things considered. Anyway, thanks to Larry Brown. I really enjoy Larry, as you know. It's one of my little pleasures in life, I guess, that happens. And here's to Larry. Okay, and he'll be on again next week. I would have him on forever. I love him. Love him to death. Anyway, there are some people waiting to talk to me. They're not usually a lot of people at this time ready to talk to me because sometimes I run over and I go till 11 and they don't want to sit there waiting and so on and so forth. So now's the time to call everybody. Come on. Yeah, you can call. Okay, let me see here. You know, I have to always get my head just right in here. Otherwise, I'm losing my chin and whatever. Anyway, let me bring in these people that are already waiting here. Let me see here. I've got to admit them. Okay, here we go. Here they go. Should have. There's Alan and there's Charlie. There's Trucker Steve, and Charlie Wallace should be with us any moment. He's still in the process of joining. Sometimes people don't look and they. Okay, and hey, we got a couple of other people, people that we don't one person we don't normally have, and it's first of all there's John Larkin, Jeffrey Stein, hey, and Tom Yamaguchi. How you doing, Tom? Tom?
Oh yeah.
Tom, are you there? Oh, there you go. Talk to me, Tom. Say hello. Tom, say hello.
Let's see.
We can hear him. You can all hear me, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay, fine. So,
Can't hear him though.
yeah, you can't hear. We can. I can hear Tom. I can hear. Wait, can you hear me,
Oh.
Tom?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
oh.
I had to mute myself and
okay.
didn't want any echo or feedback.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's-
All right. Anyway.
But I just wanted to correct you on some things on the recall.
On the recall. Oh, okay. We
Yeah,
were talking about.
there were
Let me just
135
say, in case people
candidates.
just joined us, we were talking with Larry Bubbles Brown about the recall. Okay, it's happening in California. Go ahead. Yeah.
So yeah, there's 135 candidates in that 2003 recall. And yes, Arnold Schwarzenegger did come in first. But I just want to go ahead and let you know who the top 10 were. The person who came in second was Cruz Bustamante, who was the lieutenant governor.
Mm-hmm.
Third place was Tom McClintock,
Mm-hmm.
who's now a congressman up in northeast of the state.
Horrible.
Peter
right-winger.
Cameo.
Wait. John, what did you say?
He's a horrible right winger.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, okay.
Peter Cameo of the Green Party came in fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth place was Ariana Huffington.
Uh-huh.
Sixth place was Peter Uberoff
Mhm.
of Major League Baseball. Number 7 was Larry Flint.
Really? I didn't even remember him as running, but I guess he
ran.
did. Mhm.
Yes, he ran for in the recall. 8 was Gary Coleman. 9 was a guy named George B. Schwartzman.
Really?
And number 10 was a woman named Mary Carey.
Mary
those are
Carey,
the
who
top
is the
10.
porn actress.
Okay. It says independent. Okay, so that was so she came in 10th.
She came in 10th. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Independent.
And so just a couple other more things, and that is 55% of the voters voted for the recall, and 48.6% voted for Arnold Schwarzenegger. So he didn't even get over half of the vote. He still got elected. Because that's the way it works.
Yeah. Yes, John.
Yeah, this current recall, it's backed by a lot of right wing pro Trump money, and they don't even know if Trump even is going to back their candidate, because Trump kind of likes Newsom, because Newsom always said nice things about him, and he kind of likes Newsom. So he, even though Newsom's a Democrat, he may not even back the guy.
Well, gee, I like Newsom less now that he had nice things to say about Trump.
I think he was conning him.
I think John and I were watching different news stations.
Hey, Alan, your microphone
No, he was
is
conning him.
It's on stun.
No, I just lowered it.
No, you didn't.
Well, I will again.
Listen, it's just terrible.
Well,
you got to turn it down.
I'm going to try.
Alan, what have you heard about that?
Hold on a minute. I'm trying to figure out how to turn my microphone down again.
It's so loud, it's distorting.
Yeah.
Well, I got my picture fixed. Let me get back to I can't seem to get back on the screen.
You're on the screen, but you're very loud.
Hold on a minute. Can you hear me now?
Huh?
Can you hear me now?
Well, no, you're whispering.
There you go.
That doesn't count when you whisper.
That better. I don't understand this thing. Every time I log on, I've got to adjust my volume.
Lower it a little more and you'll be fine. Oh, look.
Look at that. A Curad Band-Aid. Very nice.
Somebody's covered.
It's a Curad Band-Aid?
No, it says Thrive. It's from
Kaiser.
Kaiser, yeah.
Oh, for Kaiser. So what is it?
Band-Aid.
What did you get? What kind?
Pfizer. The Pfizer one.
Pfizer. Okay.
I got a Charlie Brown Band-Aid when I got mine.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what happened? You know what happens?
Kind of achy.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I'm sure you've had yours, right, Tom?
Oh, in February 19th.
February 19th was
my second shot. My second
shot was February 27th.
Yeah.
And yeah. And now when's your third shot?
In a year.
October.
Do we know? They don't know if it's going to be a year. They're trying to figure that one out.
Right.
Right now they have it up to 6 months. And maybe, next thing we know, it'll be a year.
The 6 months is based on the trial participants. They gave the second shot of Pfizer 6 months ago.
Right.
So.
Moderna, however, we haven't heard from yet. They haven't said what their expiration date is on that.
I got the Moderna shot.
You got the Moderna, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been on here in a while.
That's Matt.
My alter ego, Matt Brewer.
Matt Brewer. Oh, Matt, how are you? I didn't notice. I didn't realize.
Good, man.
Why?
It's been like a couple years
since you called last. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking to Phil recently, and I'm like, I've been so busy, and I was like, I've been listening to Alex in a while, and
what's been going on in your life, Matt?
I'm getting my MBA.
Oh, really?
I got a new job. I've been there about a year.
Yeah.
And I decided to get my MBA, so I'm going in a ton of debt, but hopefully it'll be worth it.
Good for you. Now, where did we leave you off last time? You were.
I feel like it was when I was getting divorced and stuff.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well, you had gotten married. You had just gotten married.
I got married at 23 or 24, one of those, and got divorced at like 25. Now I'm 29, so. Mm-hmm.
And have you decided not to get married again, or
yeah, that's I mean, that's not something on my agenda.
I mean, have you fallen in love since?
Yeah, I actually have a girlfriend right now.
Oh, you have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
And is she pressuring you to marry?
She's not recently.
What do you mean not recently? She did?
She's 27, so she had actually already been married as well.
Oh,
so.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the two of you
married to a military guy. You know how the military.
Yeah. Well, so you're not ready to just run out and get married right now.
No.
So is that your real name, Matt Brewer?
No. It's originally I created a fake name because I didn't know if an employer would ever listen to this and hear what I had to say and say, hey, I heard what you said on Alex Bennett's show. I'm going to fire you.
Am I wrong, or were you kind of pro-Trump at the time?
No, I was very pro-Trump originally. Wasn't happy with a lot of things that he did economically. I feel like he did a pretty good job. I actually voted for Biden in the recent election. So.
Yeah. But what made you lose faith in Trump? Not that I need to ask.
Yeah, it was honestly the ridiculousness around the fake elections and all that stuff, and how it seemed like he just wanted to become a dictator, and that's what kind of made me just be like, dude, like, this is ridiculous. There's not widespread election fraud. You know, the whole thing with him and the whole Capitol was ridiculous, and I think that made me, you know, I don't have faith in both parties. I actually hate both parties. I thought Trump was somebody who was going to be an outsider and somebody that would just give it to us straight, and then he turned into somebody who was obviously very partisan and somebody that just wanted to keep power. So I didn't believe in him at all, and I didn't think he was a great leader throughout COVID and throughout everything.
Yeah.
For the past couple of years.
Yeah. So, yeah. Wow.
Very nice. Matt, the reason I asked you, I'm Alan. The reason I asked you is Phil and I are texting, and I text him, Matt Brewer is on the show. And he's like, I don't recognize the name. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I asked
tell him Corey is on the show, and he'll
Corey, huh?
Corey.
Yeah. Okay.
Corey.
Yeah. Anyway, so good to have you. And look who else is here, ladies.
Owner's on the line.
I thought we fixed that permanently.
It does not change it permanently. I'm trying to change it now, but I forgot.
Friday.
Anyway, that's Owner, ladies and gentlemen, and we will keep referring him to Owner until he changes it.
Alex, see the story that I shared on your messenger?
Yes. It will tell them about it. Okay.
Well, the police departments, cops around the world or around the country, I guess, have been donating money to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Now, this is the guy who went and shot how many people?
Two?
Two, I think.
He shot 3 and killed 2.
Right.
2 of them died.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so who's giving him money?
Public officials, cops.
Wow.
All kinds of.
Why?
For his defense.
Actually,
I get Republican fundraising emails because back in 2012, I registered Republican to vote in the presidential primary. Yeah. And even though I never get any money, I keep getting emails from them. And I even got emails from Rittenhouse's mother pleading for defense money. So it's the part of the big con.
Yeah, this is one of the shootings that you almost forgot, because God, it was just a small one.
Yeah.
I mean, today, what is this? I mean, America, what is with you? What is with all this shooting?
19 years old. He killed 8 people. I was listening on the radio.
Indianapolis yesterday.
8 people.
Fucking
Now, I admit FedEx doesn't deliver to my door, and I'm mad at them, but I don't get that mad.
They don't deliver to my door either.
He was just fed up.
Yeah. Yes, Alan.
Can I go through? I did a little research into the accidental shooting of Dwayne Wright in Maryland, in Brooklyn Center, not in Brooklyn.
Brian.
Yeah, right.
What's that?
Brooklyn Center.
Brooklyn Center.
Yeah, I did a little research.
Yeah.
And so I'll tell you what I found. A 20-year-old black man pulled over for expired cabs. Now, this is a combination of news, police stories.
Okay, we'll get on with it.
I am.
Yeah.
Okay, and he had a warrant for aggravated assault with a firearm, choking a 75-year-old woman, then robbing her of $820 in 2019. This was not your little angel boy. I don't think he deserved to be killed. Don't get me wrong.
Right, but he was no angel, is what you're saying.
Right. So, well, the family's going to portray him. You know,
well, I mean,
we always show the communion pictures. You know that.
So yeah,
yes.
I would say the woman that shot him also didn't think he deserved to be killed.
No. Upon trying to arrest him, he started to resist. Officers tried to gain control. One officer, the female officer, pulls out, and you can see it on the body cam, what looks like a Glock 17 or Glock 19 9mm, common for law enforcement officers to use this, and says, taser, 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 and then shoots Dante in the chest, one shot, and says to the other officers, oh my God, I just shot him, or oh shit, I just shot him. He drives a half a block, collapses. The police and EMT provide medical care and crime.
But we know all this.
So yeah, I didn't know everything.
Yes.
So I didn't know what his warrant was for. So people were in side text and talking about, can't people, like Robert says, can't people tell the difference between a handgun and a taser? In this case, the taser, I went on their website, weighs 2 pounds. And the Glock 17, Glock 19 weigh about 2 pounds loaded. So she did have her taser on her left side and her gun on the right side. You know, I think that
I said this last night. I somewhat feel sorry for her, just because it was obvious just from listening to her that it wasn't what she meant to do. Okay.
Yeah, so the police. One more quick thing here, owner, just real quick here. So the police train usually 3 or 4 times a year with a firearm. So you draw the firearm and train on a range. But a lot of law enforcement agencies, they're finding out, don't train with the taser. And so a police officer may pull his gun, several times a day, thousands of times a year.
Okay, all right.
And not deploy the taser very often. They need to change that training.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Owner.
Jason. So here's 2 kind of things to actually her defense. One, usually when a cop pulls a trigger, when he's pulling the trigger on his gun, he doesn't only shoot one time. Usually they empty the clip. But crap, I had one more point that I was going to make about with a taser. But yeah, usually when a cop pulls his gun and he's shooting, does not just shoot one time.
Okay.
And I think that's where that's where it was. How often does an average cop actually pull his gun in their career?
Daily.
Pull their gun on somebody
I don't
daily?
know if that's true.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
No. How often does a cop pull his gun and aim it at somebody in their career?
Well, I was a cop, and so, when you make traffic stops, a lot of times you don't know what's in the car, who's in the car, whatever, and so you pull your gun and keep it next to the holster, aimed down with your whatever your gun hand is, and you get the person to roll the window down. You talk to the person and establish a rapport, and you can look in the car and you can see if and then you reholster the gun.
You know what
What I heard is most cops never pull their gun.
That's what
My
I've heard.
cousin was a cop in Chicago for 30 years. He rose to the rank of captain. He never drew his gun once.
And that's where I'm saying with her, and that's where they maybe do need to do more exercises. Just like within boxing, you know, you do a 1, 2, 2, 2, 1. You know, maybe they need to do that as a practice of to pull your weapon on a weekly basis.
Yes, Vernon.
I heard a news report also that when the officers are trained on a taser, they are not trained to aim for the chest with a taser. True or false, Alan?
No, I think it's false. I didn't go through taser training, but when you fire the taser, it goes up and then it kind of has an arc. I don't know the degree that comes down, and they do aim for the chest because it's a big piece of body that you can get a large electrical shock control, whatever, over. I've seen a few of these taser videos on YouTube if anybody cares, and you see the police shooting at the wrong angle, and the guy gets it in the groin. So, yeah.
Darn.
So anyhow.
And boy, did he come like a motherfucker.
I'll bet.
Get some oil.
Oh boy.
Bless you.
But I mean,
That was good.
I don't know. It's just that I don't believe all the guns. I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
And it's always young people shooting too. I always notice.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, this kid in Brooklyn Center, I think it's called. This situation was the kid was not a good kid. He obviously had some problems. All right. But still, I don't think that she wanted to shoot him and wasn't using that to protect herself. She thought she actually was using a taser. I mean, you could take this to court and just listen to the video and hear her go taser, 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 and you knew what her intention was.
You can hear it on YouTube right now.
But I still
Body
think the way we handle these situations has to be reassessed. Because
And
obviously,
it was the same day that she quit, wasn't it?
But did she quit?
I believe it was the same day that she resigned.
Well, she resigned after this incident happened. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can only imagine her state of mind right now, and it probably has nothing to do with losing her job or having to go on trial, you know, for whatever they're charging her with.
Second-degree manslaughter.
Second-degree manslaughter. I bet she is genuinely upset by what happened, you know.
And I think that's why she resigned in part.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Matt, are you still there?
It's like he went bye-bye.
Looks like
Phil
maybe.
must have called him.
Huh?
I'm joking. I said Phil must have called him.
Tom, do you have your hand up?
Tom's got his hand
Yeah.
up.
I was going to say, I was wondering if I should use the hands raised function of the
Zoom?
like that, you know.
Is that?
Yeah, that's the bottom on the reactions.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say another thing, and to go with what Vernon was saying or follow up. Also, I heard, okay, a bad glare off this. I also heard that a taser shouldn't be shot into a moving car or somebody behind the wheel who could continue to drive like this guy did.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of things that she did wrong.
Well,
Another thing I just want to also mention,
He wasn't driving the car when she tased him.
this is something that happened back in 2009 with what's his name at the Fruitvale Station?
Oscar Grant.
Oscar Grant, yeah, with Johannes Metzgerly, who was supposedly trying to go for his taser and shot Oscar Grant with this gun. And so, as I said, this was 2009. So there should be at least something learned in all these years, but it appears that there hasn't.
Yeah, when you're under stress, this comes from the military. You resort back to training. And a lot of times, if you're not used to grabbing the taser, who knows?
Yes, Mr. Owner.
So here's one thing in Michigan I think is funny, that if you have a CCW, you can buy, I think you do have to still get like a special license to have an actual taser that shoots projectiles.
Right.
But it's illegal to have an actual taser where it's just a handheld thing where somebody has to be right there.
Stun gun.
Yeah, stun gun. It's illegal for that. It makes no sense to me. I can have a taser where I can shoot somebody from a distance, but I can't have a stun gun where I have to be within arm's reach where they're, maybe attacking me. To me, it makes no sense.
It's like New Jersey. No hollow points allowed. So what you do then is you have a non-hollow point that doesn't expand in somebody, and with a 9mm, they're a pretty fast little round. It goes through that person because it didn't expand, and
goes through another
person.
person.
Kills somebody behind them.
Yeah.
So there's another stupid law. So,
but at the same time, because it didn't expand, you might not have killed the person.
That's right. That's true too. It makes a small wound channel. And you'll probably have to follow up with more shots. So,
and you'll probably have to go to jail because you didn't kill him.
Whatever.
Well, I just think this is going on. The whole between the police and the public,
nut jobs.
the use of guns is just getting out of hand.
Yeah.
And I think there need to be some laws about it. I'm sorry, kids. Hi, Matt. I see you there. Let me just finish what I was saying, and I'll go to you. Kids, you've had enough time to play with your toys, and you're not using them responsibly. So we're going to have to take them away from you. Yes, Matt.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, the police need more training. They don't get enough training when they become officers. I mean, I could easily become a police officer within, 6 months or something. They need to go through several years of schooling and be held to extreme standards. I mean, you're dealing with people's lives out
well,
there.
you're dealing with somebody who you're handing a gun to and telling him to enforce the law.
Exactly.
And the trouble is that maybe in Chicago you have to go through a lot to be a cop, but in maybe doofus Minnesota, it's sign up at the local store, and I think that's the problem.
Grab a shotgun and go shoot black people. I mean, that's
exactly. Yes, Ray. Ray or Mike?
Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah.
Just two things. Alan, years ago, I wanted to be a fireman, 30-something years ago. And I remember that the people who wanted to be policemen, it was a big deal. They had to go through a long academy to even get there. And it wasn't even certain they were going to get the job after a year or two. Is that still something that happens? Or is that...
Yeah, you're in California, right, Renee?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so am I. And so I really only know California. But California, a law enforcement officer goes through what's called the Post Academy, and there's 50 of them in the state or something. Stands for Peace Officer Standard and Training. And it's basically about 40 to 60 weeks. One of the longer ones is the California Highway Patrol. So, but firefighter, you take a couple courses in the community college on fire science, and you be big and strong, and you can
that was way
easier.
Yeah, way easier. And the other thing I wanted to tell you, and maybe you've heard about this, Alan. There was the teacher in Redwood City about a year and a half ago, a white guy at Gunn High School, and his wife just had a kid, and he couldn't sleep for nights on end. He hadn't slept. The doctor gave him some medicine. He had a super bad reaction to it. Ended up going insane, cutting his own throat and stuff. The wife went crazy. He was in the backyard bleeding out. The cops came, saw him with the knife in the backyard where they were there for 12 seconds, killed him. And they're suing it.
You didn't have to bleed out the rest of the way. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's if you look at the stats, the cops are killing blacks and Hispanics at a higher proportion per capita, but they're killing everybody. I mean, we just don't. I mean, they're killing everybody.
Yeah, so, Ray, with the FBI, I looked up this real quick here. The FBI has studies that found that black drivers are far more likely, I'm sure you'll agree with this, Charlie, probably everybody
Yeah.
will, are far more likely to be stopped by the police than white drivers. They are twice as likely to be searched and found to have nothing illegal in their possession versus white drivers.
Yeah.
And black drivers are 4 times more likely to have a bad outcome in a traffic stop than a white driver in this
Right.
country.
And
Yes,
I agree. I
yeah.
just wanted to make it. I just wanted to say that there is a like even a bigger problem than what we're seeing. Like we're seeing
sure.
a problem against people of color, but then there's like even a bigger one, like against everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Yamaguchi has his hand up. Can't hear you, Tom.
Need to unmute myself.
Yeah.
There was some background noise, so I muted myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's one of the reasons, well, that's the big reason why the city of Berkeley is examining getting the police out of the traffic control business and establishing what's called Berkeley Department of Transportation, or BERCDOT. And that's because a lot of these events happen after so-called routine traffic stops. So why do you need someone with going around the gun just to give somebody a parking ticket?
Yeah,
It
so
doesn't
Tom,
make any sense.
we actually talked.
Or to say your registration tags are expired, or you ran a red light. I mean, for one thing, we've got so many cameras now. You know, we could just put a ticket in the mail. Here, you know, you ran a red light, pay the ticket.
So yeah, last.
Oh, wait a
last
minute.
night-
Jason's got his hand up.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm just curious. So, like, does it do a disservice to the whole movement and stuff when you actually sit there and hold people up who are resisting arrest and something bad happened to them, though? You know, and maybe concentrate on the ones that, you know, didn't do anything wrong. What, like, Alan, you were just talking about the statistics of people being pulled over and not even finding anything wrong or anything, but then when they hold up, you know, something bad happened to somebody, but they were resisting arrest.
Okay, let me ask this question, though. And I said this last night, when it comes to protection, okay, who's more protected? The person's being pulled over or the cop? I mean, he's got everything at his disposal. As I said, that weapons belt that they have, whatever you called it last night, Alan,
Tool belt.
is full of just an arsenal of stuff between tear gas and tasers and guns and bullets and a radio and everything. And as I also said last night, if I'm in trouble and I call for a cop, they'll be here in 10, 15 minutes. If I'm a cop and I yell for help, they're there in 3 seconds. Okay? So who's got the advantage here? And am I supposed to be so sympathetic towards protecting the cops when they're already doing a damn good job of protecting themselves already? I want to protect the person who's been stopped from having some kind of an accident or whatever, like happened in Brooklyn Center, happen. Okay? That we have to avoid. I want protection from the cops. Okay? Yes,
That's understandable.
yes, Alan, you're kind of taking over here, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. You want me to stop?
Well, no, but I mean, you know, wait for your best shot, but answer that for me, would you?
Well, I was going to. So depending on your need, if you just had a burglary, you walked home, opened the door, your house was tore apart, the burglar's gone, the cops may take hours to get there, or there's no emergency. To you, there is, because you just had stuff stolen and your private space was invaded. If you have somebody in your house, a home invasion, robbery, or something, guy's got a gun or a knife, the police are going to get there a lot quicker to protect you.
Yeah.
So, and they protect each other because they don't have to call a number and dial a cell phone, and they have two-way radios, and you know, they need to protect each other. Usually when they ask for help, they need it.
Charlie, what's on your mind in this whole discussion?
Well, all I know is unless I'm lying on the floor bleeding, I ain't calling the cops. The cops are not my friend.
Okay.
I get that.
And you know something? It's funny, Charlie. You may find that unusual for a white guy like me, but I don't never considered them my friends either. I always considered them almost the enemy.
An adversary.
An adversary, yeah, especially from my days when I was really, in demonstrations and things like that. I came to completely disrupt them because they weren't there to protect me. They weren't there to make sure that because I was protesting, they were standing up for my right to protest. And that, and then I came to the belief, and I still hold this belief, the main job of the police department, and they're being used, is to protect property, not people. Okay? Yes, Vernon.
You've advocated this for some time, Alec, and I'm tending to agree with it more and more. And that is, we need to get rid of the war on drugs. Yeah. The Breonna Taylor shooting in Louisville,
good example, yeah,
was related to a no-knock warrant because they thought that her ex-boyfriend was stashing drugs in her apartment,
destroying drugs.
Well, there are wars against nations. There are wars on various things, but you don't take something like drugs and have a war against them. You maybe have a program to try and solve the drug problem and to lower the incidence of drug use. But you're right. I mean, Breonna Taylor would probably still be alive if the police weren't preoccupied with arresting drug dealers.
Now, the good thing is the state legislature their last session, they just flat out outlawed no-knock warrants in the state.
That's where? In Kentucky?
In Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
That's good.
You mean the home of some of the worst senators in the world?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I never voted for Mitch McConnell, but I still get emails from him on various
I honestly believe that Mitch McConnell never voted for himself.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but he was married before he married Elaine Chao. He was married before and had 2 kids, but you never hear him talking about his kids.
Oh. What was his wife's name?
I don't remember the first wife's name, but
maybe it was
I do know that he was married once before and had 2 children by the first wife, but you never hear him talking about it.
Is there something there? I don't think anything wrong with the joke I'm about to say, but when he has sex with her, does he chow down?
She's Asian.
Wasn't it Newt Gingrich who he divorced his wife while she was dying of
to begin with, she never died. She never died.
But she was in the hospital.
But she was in the hospital with cancer. And he went to the hospital to announce to her that he was going to divorce her.
She was pretty sick. They thought she was going to die.
Yeah, well, you wait until she either dies or gets better, and then you bring the subject up. You don't go to the hospital while she's maybe dying, I mean, if she dies, you're off the hook. If she doesn't die, then you announce it.
But that's what that one Democratic senator tried to do, and then he was running for president, and they found out that he was running around, so it didn't work that way either.
Didn't Giuliani do something like that too?
Giuliani,
he announced on TV
that he was divorcing his wife. She was an actress, and her name was, oh boy. Last night, I came up with a name, and then I just lost it tonight. But last night, just off the top of my head, I came up with the name of the guy who got killed in Brooklyn for selling cigarettes.
Donna Hanna?
Huh?
Oh, no. Eric
Garner. Garner. I came up with it like that.
Yeah.
Donna Hanover.
That
was Giuliani's wife. Yeah.
She went to my high school.
Really?
In Sunnyvale, yeah.
Oh, really?
Where'd you go to high school?
Fremont High School.
Oh, you know who else went there? Terry Hatcher.
Yeah, I knew her.
Yeah. Do you know Ken Good?
Well, I knew her when she was in high school.
Well, welcome to our high school.
My friend went out with her.
I didn't
Terry
expect
Hatcher's hot as shit.
No kidding. Damn.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, man, Charlie.
Wow.
Well, not as hot as she used to be, but
I have
the
a
same age.
Of course.
I haven't.
But then again, I'm not as hot as I used to be either. No, wait a minute. I never was hot. I never was hot.
Oh man, you're looking pretty red. You look like you might be pretty hot.
Yeah, you look red today, Alan.
Well, you see, here's the reason I look red. Hold on a second. Let me show you this.
Oh, he's going to take his
balance.
temperature.
White balance.
No, it isn't a matter of white balance. It's a matter of my lights.
Yeah, let me get the,
wait a
COVID,
minute. Hold on a second. I got to
check.
find my lights. Here's my lights. Okay. Look at this. Watch this. Watch it change. See?
Yeah.
See? There you go. Okay.
Now you're just ghost.
Now you're looking too white.
Yeah.
You're all pasty.
Let me just bring it down here a little bit. There we go. Does that look as red? No.
No.
Okay. All right.
Time for a temperature check.
The reason why I keep it orange is because these lights get very bright and, whatever. But that looks okay, doesn't it?
Yeah, you look fine.
See,
I have
now-
an idea that I'd like you guys to consider,
Okay.
and it is that we ought to invent some kind of little thing that the black people can put over their face before they drive a car, so they look white.
Oh my God!
Not white face.
Damn, I was going to make a
Whiteface.
joke. What was that disease? What's that disease called,
I
Charlie?
think Charlie would agree. That's not a bad idea.
What do you think, Charlie?
Charlie,
It
what's
would have
that?
helped me a lot back in the 70s and 80s.
There you go.
What's
The
that?
Michael
disease?
Jackson.
Pulled over a lot.
Yeah, but if you put a mask on that made your face white except for the lips, it would look like you're in a minstrel show. And that wouldn't look good either.
That would work.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
call it
yes,
hunting.
Alan.
Mr. Bennett.
Yeah, yes, Alan.
How about a little sign? You see these little signs on the back window, driving with children? How about a little sign that says white male driver?
Well, I was going to ask you, Alan, like when you were driving your car, your regular car, do you have some kind of a sticker that says, I was a cop? Or I am a cop, or was a cop?
Well, I have a police memorial sticker. It looks just like the hat. It's got
Okay.
an American flag with a thin blue line in it. So
I was always
Yeah.
tempted on when I was driving cars. I don't drive them anymore here in New York, but when I was in
Thank God.
California, I was very tempted to just put on a bumper sticker that says, "My kid is an honor student." And I don't have any kids, but I figured it'd be fun to just.
My girlfriend has something on her Jeep Wrangler that says she's a nursing. She's a nurse, so
really?
That'll
apparently
prevent her from
that helps too.
That'll prevent her from getting stopped.
Okay. Yeah.
I was driving in Wyoming a couple years ago. I saw a bumper sticker.
Wait, what is that noise?
That's Kevin. Kevin, you're making so much noise.
You gotta oil that shit.
Yeah.
Well, it's racist bumper sticker I ever seen in my life, and it was just all kinds of that shit in up there in that area of the country.
They probably don't think nothing of it.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Kevin, on any of this?
No, I pretty much said my stuff last night.
Yeah. It's. I just think we put a little too much emphasis on law and order. Okay. I think we have to realize that most people are law-abiding.
I think so.
And I think we have to trust that people are before they aren't. And I think the problem the police have is that, and I've said this before, I want them back on the beat. I want them back out on the street walking the beat. So they're talking to the neighbors, and they're talking to the people who live in that neighborhood. When I was a kid, we used to, now here I go, I'm becoming one of those old people, because when I was a kid, you had a cop who was on his beat, and usually you could find him on a certain number of different corners throughout the day. And you knew him by name, and he knew you by name. And so you had an ongoing relationship with this cop. And he had a different attitude about the neighbors. Now you have a cop, and they're in cars
They have no connection.
And the only time they ever see trouble is when they get out of that car. And so their whole relationship to the outside world, outside of that vehicle, is a very negative perception. Would you agree with that, Alan?
I agree that I would like to see more walking beats too.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason when you were a kid that they were out and walking beats is because the car had not been developed yet. No, I'm just kidding. So, but I think you're right, Alex. I think a walking beat is a much better way to get to know
I
the
think
cop.
it's a way of creating, especially in black neighborhoods, it'd be a way of
Absolutely.
creating a better relationship between the police and the.
I'll bet there's proof of that out there.
By the way,
I think one of the bigger
thing
thing is they need to make the cops live in the neighborhoods they patrol.
Yeah,
what happened to Jack? He just came and he went. Oh well.
Yeah, I actually got a DUI back over a year ago. And yeah, my experience was not pleasant, but you know, I am a white person, so I'm fortunate to, you know, not be. I was scared, but you know, I can't imagine going through it as a black person because they're
Where are you
afraid
from?
that somebody's gonna, you know, you're afraid that somebody's gonna pull a gun on you.
What state are you in?
I'm in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
So I blew a .17.
Oh, wow.
And was arrested, put in the back of a cop car, chained to a bench. My feet and hands were in cuffs, and had my dad pick me up.
You're almost as big a criminal as Jeff.
Hey, so are you still married?
No, I'm not married anymore. Thank God.
Wow.
Oh yeah, 0.0, almost 0.20 is pretty drunk. So, you know, the cop saved you from a bigger headache. If you had gotten in an accident and killed somebody in California, that's murder in the second degree.
For sure.
Wow.
And your $10,000 first offense in California would have been dramatically different. So
Yep, and that's pretty much how much it cost me, $10,000. Yeah.
It cost you $10,000.
It's a mistake I'll never make again because driving drunk is definitely not worth it. So
Well, then you learned your lesson.
I for sure learned.
So
my
the fine was it a fine, a $10,000 fine?
No, so it was. I luckily have a family friend that was a lawyer that could take my case for only $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
But the fines were about, I don't know, between probably like $1,000. But then you have to take a course for 6 months at $40 a week.
Mm-hmm.
Plus you got to pay I had to get an interlock in my car that cost almost $100 a month, and then supervised probation, which cost $120 a month.
Insurance cost going up.
Actually,
Jack did that.
Cost did not go up.
Really?
Surprisingly, yeah.
Oh.
Jack's wife probably did that interlock thing, right?
Yeah, Jack Bishop has just joined us, and that's the guy you see behind the microphone, and you don't see his face. You just see his eyes poking out here and there.
It's almost like Kilroy might have been here.
Can you hear us, Jack?
Isn't that a high risk?
I guess he can't figure out how to run Zoom. This is the ultimate.
And he got his real name too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Matt, I'll tell you.
Oh,
I
Irv
got lucky
Jackson.
as hell.
Yeah, he does have his real name there. Irv, can you hear me? Jack? No, not. Oh, connecting to audio. Okay. There, it should be connecting to audio. No. Well, it doesn't.
I was going to say my divorce cost me $10,000. So, you know.
And I was going to tell
divorce cost me money too.
You got away cheap, Charlie.
I was tell Matt, I actually got in a drunk driving accident. I crashed into a parked car across the street from my house, and I got a careless driving ticket.
Now?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Jack. Now, if you move your microphone, we could see you. There we go.
Hey, there you go.
Anybody who reveals my real name dies by sunup.
Yeah, well,
Hey, Jack,
it's
you want a lesson on how to change your name on Zoom?
Yeah, just ask Alex.
well. Here, I can do it. I can do it. Let's see here. I can go here. Wait a minute, I go here,
Yeah.
and then I go
You click on your
rename,
participants button.
and then I say the
Watch it. He's going to name you asshole.
guy
I've been called
on
asshole
at
before.
midnight.
I wanted to
There we
change mine to
go.
something funny.
The
but
guy
my
on at midnight. There we go.
There you go.
There you go.
Now,
the guy that should come on before Alex, so I can call in once in a while.
Plus, it's not midnight here.
Yeah, yeah.
I
You've
can't
been hearing
figure
any
out
of
how
what
to-
we've been talking about here, Jack?
what I find is interesting is your audio is about 20 to 30 seconds behind for me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but
You're watching on YouTube.
Oh,
it
you're
won't-
watching it on YouTube. That's the
Yeah.
reason why. Turn it off of YouTube.
Turn YouTube off.
Don't watch it
Just
on
look
the
at it
internet.
on Zoom.
Yeah.
There's probably
Well, I
a Zoom
took-
window behind it.
I took your instructions, Alex, that you gave me the other day about where to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have been. Yeah, I've been listening to it.
Yeah. Can you hear
And
me?
my thoughts were, I've been in a conversation all day with somebody about the. I've been in a
Wait a
conversation.
minute, wait a minute. Jack,
Yeah.
can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Make sure your browser isn't on. Okay, I mean, or that your browser can be on, but if
he answered you that quick, he's good.
you got to turn your audio off of there. That's the problem.
If
All right,
he's
let's see if I
answering
can
you
do
that quick,
something
he's
about
good.
that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
let's try this.
okay.
Sound good.
All right.
There we go.
Okay, good. Okay, anyway, go ahead. Anyway, you were talking to a friend today.
Well, I was talking. The guy's not a friend. He's a new Facebook acquaintance. We were talking about some of the things that you were talking about, and also particularly about these cop shootings in America.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, I prefer to use the term Anglo, quite frankly, for anybody that's Northern European.
Yeah, move your mic a little bit over so we can see your face again.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. And in talking to this guy, he genuinely did not get what Black America is upset about.
Oh, jeez.
You know, he said this all happens, these shootings all happen because some Black person, because there have been women shot as well,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
who misbehaved or had criminal intent or had a criminal record.
Mm-hmm.
And is Scott Boddicker here? I don't see him, but
No.
I got to tell you, the time that I got stopped, and Charlie knows this story, for driving the wrong kind of car.
Yeah.
What is
Happened,
that, sports car?
No. Happened shortly after.
It must have been a Volvo.
More
No, it wasn't a
embarrassing than
Volvo.
that.
It was an
Wow.
American-made car.
Cadillac.
No.
More embarrassing.
Let's not go through this. Let's just get the story here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm living in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I've got this new car that I bought. And one day on one of the inner city, one of the city freeways, I get pulled over by a cop. Now, I knew I wasn't speeding. I hadn't changed lanes. In the car with me was one of the salespersons from the radio station because we were going to a meeting with a client. So I pull over. The cop says, I want to see your driver's license and your registration. So I hand it to him. He looks at it and says, all right, you can go on. So I turned to the sales guy who happened to be Anglo. And I said, what the hell was that about? He said, you're driving the wrong kind of car. You're driving a Rambler American convertible. And he doesn't believe that anybody Black would drive a Rambler American convertible.
What do you do? You gonna get a Cadillac?
You know? And one of the writers in Car and Driver magazine told a similar story about a Black buddy of his who had a Buick Skylark that had been painted a non-standard color. He got the car. He had a friend whose father was a dealer. They special ordered the car for him. This is back when you could get this done. And the car was painted a Cadillac maroon as a special order. cost him a few $100s more.
Can you get to the end of the story here, Jack?
Right, here's the end of the story. He gets pulled over, and the cops tell him, we're looking for a car that matches this description. His white buddy, who he was in college with, said there was no other car in the entire part of the country that was the same color as that car. So that's the kind of bullshit that black folks encounter.
Jason?
Driving. And the other day, one of my grandkids who lives in Minnesota, close to Minneapolis, talked to her mother and said, could something like that happen to me or my dad or my brothers or my grandpa? And I had to tell her, tell this kid of mine, I said, you got to tell her that, yes, this kind of thing happens to folks of color all the time.
Jason, you have your hand up.
So I have to ask an honest question, and sorry, I'm probably going to be called a racist after I ask this question.
Well, you're an American. We all are.
And I appreciate you, Jack, because you admit everybody's racist. So here I'm a teenager. It's dark out. I'm driving a red sports kind of car-ish. It was a 1986 Audi Coupe GT.
Oh, great car.
I get pulled over. It's dark out. I get pulled over because I don't have a license plate light on. And the cop pulls me out of the car and is searching my car and pointing at my license plate saying, I pulled you over because of this, and I'm searching your car because they saw some zigzags in there. I'm 18 years old. Zigzags are tobacco rolling papers. Did they pull me over? And actually, I told the cop, I'm like, so you said you pulled me over because I don't have license plate lights on. You're pointing at them. They're on. Yeah. So did you pull me over because I'm Mexican?
Very probably.
It was dark out.
When he walked up and saw you didn't have blue eyes and blonde hair.
Actually, look.
I'll tell you though. I got to tell you.
But it was dark out.
I got to tell you something though. There's another.
I was a teenager.
There are other reasons why cops will at times stop you. At a certain point in my life, I had hair down to here. I know you find that hard to believe now.
What happened to
But
that
I
hair?
had hair down to here.
And you're so evil.
I got stopped by cops. If I tried to hail a cab in New York, no cabs would stop for me. I mean, so you know, anytime in America you don't fit that pattern that is considered normal, you've got a problem.
That was our time of the day. That was our time when we had long hair.
Yeah,
that's when we got pulled over.
Yeah,
you know, it goes back to what Tom was saying earlier.
Yeah,
maybe we should have, and what I was saying last night is have a separate group to pull over people for tags and lights and shit like that. Like the truck driving industry, the commercial. Have a separate group, and then have all the hard ass cops do all the hard ass shit.
Yeah.
Alan's dying.
Yes, Alan has his hand up, and then Ray.
So real quick, I was first of all, Alex, nothing worse than a bored cop, and so owner down here and you and stuff, the guy, forget about race. Just if he's bored, he'll find a reason to be busy. So I was raised in California to not be a racist, and the first time the community I grew up in and worked in is Fremont, California. And when I grew up, there were very few minorities in it, quote unquote. So, but the first time I saw racism was from coworkers in a police department that I worked for, Jack. And I didn't like it, but everybody learns if you want to keep your job, you keep your mouth shut. And they had codes. Ones were whites, twos were, I don't want to go into all of it. I don't like this stuff. I heard a lot of nasty words and I walked away from people. And then I got some seniority and I started telling people, you can't be that way. You got to be to a higher standard. And anyhow, that was
Ray. And then Jack.
Just a couple, when I was in high school, I was driving my mom's big 400 cubic inch Pontiac, and I had a cowboy hat on, and I was in Palo Alto in Stanford, and 2 Stanford cops pulled me over, guns out, had me get out of the car. I hadn't done anything. It was simply because I was driving a big car and I had a cowboy hat on. No other reason.
Yes.
I just want to say one thing. When I hear like everybody is racist, I just don't think that's true. I don't think
I
you
don't
can,
either.
because I can tell you right now, I live with a woman from France. Swear to God, she's not racist. I have an 18-year-old son, not racist. Am I a little racist? Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can't just make these
Because like the rest of us, you hate the French.
Because
Like the rest
it's genetic.
Like the rest of us, you hate the French.
No, it's not.
It is because
hates
it's called culturalism. It's but you.
Okay, culturalism is fine.
Okay, but who's your number one? Who are you going to support? Number one, who are you going to kill for? Your family, right?
How does this? What does that have to do with race?
Anyway.
What does that have to do with race?
Because it goes on the community and the tribalism. It's built into humanity. It's
I'm sorry. I don't agree. I don't.
Jack has his hand up.
It
Jack?
just isn't.
Got to agree that we are tribal by nature. If you start talking to anthropologists, they'll tell you that the names for most ancient people means the real people. Now, I'll show you what I mean by, and I don't mean, let me rephrase this, what I mean about bigotry. Now, Alex knows the neighborhood that I grew up in San Francisco. Even back in the 50s, it was one of the most multicultural parts of the city.
Mm-hmm.
What neighborhood?
Bernal Heights.
Oh, yeah.
And I always say you could get your ass kicked by other kids that were your friends in 4 or 5 different languages. And my family was the second black family to move into that neighborhood. And I'll never forget, one day my dad had come home from the base. He was looking out his window, surveying the new Chrysler that he had bought.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got just furious. He got furious because across the street, a family with a pickup truck, white and from Oklahoma, had moved in across the street for him. And he yelled to my mother, "Honey, there goes the goddamn neighborhood." Now, I saw the hypocrisy of that, but I was only 12 years old. And I'm not going to argue with my drill instructor old man about shit like that. I'm going to keep my damn mouth shut, and hopefully he won't notice that I'm, smirking.
Yeah.
But to show you how racism is, for years and years and years, I lived in one of the artsy-fartsy areas of Dallas. And one day I'm going to my favorite restaurant for lunch before going to the radio station. And I see this young couple come out of the restaurant that I'm going into. And it's an interracial couple. And I felt my blood boil. Not only were they an interracial couple, but he was getting into one of my favorite automobiles. And as he got in, he patted the girl on the ass. And I started to laugh.
Because you wanted to get black. In that too.
Can you get to the point? Can you get to the point of this, Jack?
He was white, she was black, and the red-headed Irish girl that I've been living with for 2 years had just dumped my ass 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I knew he was going to get some that night. And the best I could do is say, "Where's the bottle of Jergens lotion?"
Yeah.
Vernon's got his hand up.
I think Jack hit on this a little bit. I think we get the terms confused between bigotry, which we all have a certain amount of bigotry. Mm-hmm. It's built into our DNA, and racist.
Yes.
Okay. Racism means you are actively discriminating against someone because of the color of their skin or their origin or something like that. That's racism.
Yeah.
Bigotry can be like you're saying, you're bigoted because you see an interracial couple and it's unusual and it doesn't sit right with you. That's bigotry. That's not racism.
Okay, Matt, you haven't said anything. Do you want to say anything? Because this is your first time back after 2 years, and I want you to feel as though you're welcome.
I think Vernon made a great point. I think racism gets thrown around a lot, and I think that bigotry is more of the problem than racism. I mean, I think Vernon, touched on the point that a lot of people see, I'm trying to formulate my thoughts, but
Yeah.
I think that bigotry is a bigger problem than racism. I think a majority of people aren't racist, but I think bigotry is more of the problem because they see something that's quote unquote unnatural or discriminate black people for X, Y, and Z. So yeah.
Let me go to Tom
because
because
black folks don't think that we black folks don't discriminate.
yeah.
We do too.
Oh,
let me.
Everybody discriminates.
Let me go to Tom because he has his hand up.
And I fully agree that if you're a black person, being pulled over by a police officer is definitely more scary than a white person being pulled over. Like, if I was a black person, like when I got my DUI, I would be scared shitless that anything that I did, any movement that I did, could have caused me to be shot. And as a white person, that's not something that I feel like would happen. But as a black person, like if I'm reaching for my wallet and I'm going into my pocket, that could be determined as, hey, I'm reaching for a gun.
Yeah, we only have a few minutes left here. Did you have your hand up, Tom?
I did, and I just want to say, I thoroughly disagree. I think racism is a serious problem, and we've seen it more and more. A book that really changed my mind about the whole situation was Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow. So I really strongly stress that people should realize, say, yes, racism is a deeply rooted problem in this country, and it gets back to something that was the start of this conversation. I'm glad Jack brought it up, and that is, well, he was no angel. You'll go back and you'll find, well, we have this. Well, he did this and he did this, and so that's the reason why the police did this. But when you come back to it, it all the whole system itself channels people into the criminal justice system. That's what we really need to focus on and deal with. And yes, all of us have racial bias, even myself. I grew up in a very racist family, a very white, racist Irish Catholic family. And so I am very aware of it. But even then, as I said, when you talk about implicit bias, we're talking about parts of your brain you are not aware of. Most of what our brains are engaged in is an unconscious thought that has nothing to do with what's going on in what we're actually thinking about at the moment. And we're reacting to those biases. And so on that, I'll conclude for the evening.
Ray, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think maybe there's degrees of racism, but to put everybody into a bucket, we're all racist. It just doesn't.
Okay.
So the problem is like there is implicit racism that's deep in parts of our society, even in parts of California and the Central Valley and some parts of the East Bay.
We're running out of time here.
Well, I just want to say it's just not. It's just not helpful to say everyone is racist. It doesn't help address the problem.
Jeff,
we can all pretty much say that the whole Republican Party is being taken over by racists, though. Can we all agree on that?
I think so. Good, Jeff, and then
what we should all remember is that every black family has to give their kid, when they're at a certain age, the story.
Yeah, I have the talk to, and I give the talk to my kid also.
You give the talk to your kid too, Jason?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Jack, you've got exactly 10 seconds to say whatever you got to say because there's a show coming on right after you.
Would I be okay getting on Jack's show?
Yeah,
would I be
Sure.
Okay.
Because I got something I want to dispute that somebody said, so all of you guys call back.
All right.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that because we're running at the end of this show, so the next show can come on. Hey, listen, we have, if you notice here, we have 14 people here. It's a lot of people. Always good to hear from you, Tom. Great to hear from you. Trucker Steve, where are you tonight? What part of the country?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln,
On
Nebraska.
On the way to your old stomping grounds.
San Francisco. Yeah, okay. And also Jack's old stomping grounds, too. He just left us because he has to go do his show. By the way, we gotta thank Charlie Wallace and John Larkin and Alan and Jeffrey Stein and Vernon Nunn. Matt, call us again, will you? It's great to see you after all this time. And remind us who you were. And thanks to Jason, better known as Owner, and Tony Magno. You haven't said anything tonight, but that's fine, Tony. Always nice to have you here anyway.
Tony.
Kevin, thank you so much. What does the WBKWS mean?
No, that's Kevin's call sign.
Is that Kevin's
I have my call sign up there. He had to have his up.
Oh, I see. Okay. And of course, Ray Renati. All of you, give a big wave goodbye, okay? And I'll give you a big wave goodbye as well. There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Jack Bishop is next. He's here with the intersection, and on that program he uses Skype, okay? And the call sign for Skype is Gabnet Live. Gabnet Live. Just call on Skype and continue this discussion with him. That's it for me. That's all she wrote for tonight. I'll see you again on Monday at 4 with our little pop-up show, and then again on Tuesday at 10:30. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, be safe out there. Wear a mask, and if you haven't gotten it yet, get the old shot in the arm. Good night, everybody.